In Capital News tonight, 10 people have been killed in a road accident that occurred in Bukombe, Geita region. The government bans traders from increasing domestic gas prices. And in sports, the Special Olympics Board has postponed the national championships. Good evening, this is Capital News at 9:30. My name is Khadija Zimbwe. First, the national news. 10 people were killed and 4 others injured in a road accident at Ilalwe village, Bukombe, Ward Geita region after a truck belonging to Tanzanian People's Defense Forces (TPDF) carrying civilians from a funeral in Bukoba and returning to Dar es Salaam collided with a Scania lorry carrying a cargo from Dar es Salaam to Rwanda.
Majira ya saa 7 mchana na magari mawili, gari moja ni semi ambalo lilikuwa linatokea maeneo ya Kahama teremka kuelekea Ushirombo. Ikafika kuna kijiji kinaitwa Ilalwe, kiko kwenye kata ya Bukombe, tarafa ya Bukombe, kiko kwenye wilaya ya Bukombe, na gari nyingine kenta ya jeshi yenyewe ilikuwa inatokea maeneo ya Ushirombo, kwa maana ya kwamba ilikuwa inatoka mkoa wa Kagera.
The Minister of Energy, Dr. Medard Kalemani, has banned domestic gas traders from increasing prices and directed the Energy and Water Utilities Regulatory Authority to take stern action against those violating the ban.
Lakini mtungi wa kilo 15 usizidi shilingi 47 isizidi.
15-kilogram gas cylinder should not exceed 45,000 shillings. We have asked retailers not to overcharge these cylinders, although we are aware of the problem. This is the last warning. AWURA has already given out directives. If I pass by again tomorrow and the prices are the same, we shall take legal measures against you who have gone against the directive and close down the business. We are trying to reduce the burden of problems to people. The Minister of Agriculture, Professor Adolf Mkenda, has reassured that maize producers in Tanzania does not have aflatoxin and that it was safe for the domestic and foreign markets.
Mahindi yetu ni matamu, ni salama kabisa. Hii sumukuvu wamepima hapa, nimeenda maabara, hakuna.
Our maize is completely safe. We went to the laboratory and there were no toxins point. Even at the borders, they were testing them and found no toxins. The challenge of our maize is that they are lacking uniformity. We cannot go to the international market without standardizing our produce. The rice industry is in the last stages in Mwanza, which is already overwhelmed and will begin to be established on the 21st. And it will start working in November. It is an industry that can process 96 tons a day. We are focusing on the markets in Zimbabwe, South Sudan, Burundi, Rwanda, Madagascar, and Comoro.
The Defense and Security Committees in Bolo District, Manyara Region and Meatu District, Simiyu, in collaboration with residents, have succeeded to get livestock that had been stolen from Endameliani Ward in Bolo District by herders from Meatu District, Simiyu Region.
Zoezi hili lote limechukua zaidi ya siku 6-7 mlikuwa huko.
Fumbo wa Kwanza. Exercise took more than 6 to 7 days where cattle were found, although a misunderstanding occurred and we failed to bring cattle back home, but more efforts were still taken. The first day we managed to follow footsteps of the cattle heading to Karatu. A total of more than 400 people stayed in the forest for almost 6 to 7 days to fulfill the operation. We only have a dispensary. From here to a neighboring hospital in Haidom is 40 kilometers away. Recently, we received 66 million shillings for construction of a health center. The heads of state and government of Southern African Development Community SADC have ended the 41st ordinary meeting, which took place in Lilongwe, Malawi, where among agendas of the summit was swearing in of the new executive secretary of the SADC Secretariat, Elias Mpedi, who is replacing outgoing Dr. Stegomena Tax from Tanzania. In the summit, Tanzania was represented by President Samia Suluhu Hassan, who has returned and was received by Vice President Dr. Philip Mpango and various leaders at Abeid Aman Karume International Airport in Zanzibar.
Summit approved the transformation of the SADC Parliamentary Forum into a SADC Parliament as a consultative and a deliberative body. 21. Summit approved the protocol on statistics and an agreement amending the SADC protocol on energy. 22. Summit noted that an agreement amending SADC protocol and the control of firearms, ammunition, and other related materials, and the agreement regarding the status of standby force and its component deployed within the region for purposes of training, peace and support operation, exercise, and humanitarian assistance were going to be signed by member states who are ready to do so.
The prosecution led by State Prosecutor Tumaini Kweka have continued to cross-examine the first accused in the armed robbery case facing the former District Commissioner of High, Lengai Ole Sabaya, and two co-accused at ARUSHA Resident Magistrate Court. Here's more of the report.
In the court, the prosecution asked the first accused if it was true that on 9th February he had received instructions from the authority to go and collect some people at Kia and to go to Arusha so as to interrogate businessman Mohammed Saad Hajirin, to which he responded by saying that it was true and that he had received instructions at 6 in the evening. When asked if he knew the second accused, Sylvester Nyegu, who has claimed he was Sabaya's assistant, the accused responded by saying that Sylvester was not his personal assistant, as he had been assigned by the director of High District to work at the District Commissioner's office. The prosecution also asked Sabaya when he had told the court that when he had been the District Commissioner of High, he had lived like a refugee in his country, who had been taken to court for causing the situation, to which the accused responded by saying that some people had been arrested, but he would not name them as security organs had dealt with the problem. Sabaya also told the court that it was the responsibility of the police to take to court two people from Mohammed Saad's store he had ordered to report to police when he was asked why they had not been taken to court to face allegations against them. When asked how he was able to implement his duties without reporting to the Regional Commissioner of Kilimanjaro according to the laws of public service, Sabaya said that he had been following directives given by the authority that had appointed him. The case has been adjourned until Thursday, 19th August, when the prosecution will continue to examine the first accused, Lengai Ole Sabaya, in the armed robbery case against him.
Now, the first Vice President of Zanzibar, Othman Masood, has said that ACT Wazalendo Party had not joined the National Unity Government for personal gain, but because the party wants to build a Zanzibar that is peaceful and stable that will attract investors.
Kwamba GNU si swala la siasa la kwamba nani yumo ndani ya serikali, nani hayumo, nani ana nafasi gani, nani hana nafasi.
This is not a political issue. This country will not continue by just saying this is my country. That is why a person has a field, but he gives it so that people can invest because he knows he cannot invest. Zanzibar must take true peace, and this will come from responsibility and integrity.
Rising fuel prices have had impact on transportation costs of various crops from rural to urban areas, with those in the business, including farmers, saying they are incurring heavy losses, while economists say this situation has been contributed by global coronavirus pandemic.
Kwa sasa hivi kwa kweli kazi imekuwa changamoto sana, yani kwamba kwa sababu kama unakuta hata kama unatoka mkoani unakuja hapa. Unavokuja hapa unapakia mzigo hapa labda umetoka wa 1,200,000 kuja hapa au na 300,000. Unakuja unaweka mafuta inabakia kama 400,000 au 500,000. Kwa hiyo ina maana hiyo gari kuizungusha inakuwa ni
And that is the end of national news. International news follows shortly.
Are you ready for some great news? I'm Christine Mundwa.
And I am Eddie Micah Jr. with the brand new DW News Africa,
The show that tackles the issues shaping the continent.
now with more time to offer an in-depth look at all the trends that matter to you.
What's making the headlines and what's behind them?
We're on the streets to give you in-depth reports and insights.
DW News Africa.
Welcome back, and in international news. French firefighters battle a Riviera inferno for a third-day blaze near Saint-Tropez forces thousands to evacuate as summer of wildfires continues to grip the Mediterranean region. Here's more on the report.
It was warned that the fire risk would remain very high through Wednesday because of continuous hot, dry weather. The blaze has scorched some 5,000 hectares in a region known for its forests, vineyards and fauna since it broke out in the Plaine des Maures Nature Reserve on Monday and forced thousands of residents and tourists to flee. Officials say at least 22 people, including 2 firefighters, have suffered from smoke inhalation or minor fire-related injuries so far.
Uganda has agreed to temporarily host 2,000 Afghan refugees at the request of the United States. Uganda's State Minister for Relief, Disaster Preparedness and Refugees, Esther Anyakun, says they are expecting the refugees to be brought in shifts of 500 and that UNHCR has secured imperial hotels in Entebbe as a transit center for them to first arrive and be screened.
Arrangements are still underway, and we have not reached the level of receiving Afghanistan refugees. When the time is right, we will provide information. Accepting to receive refugees is the generosity that Uganda has grew up for many years now against those running from violence. They are currently hosting not less than 1.4 refugees.
Kenya has received 407,000 doses of AstraZeneca Oxford COVID-19 vaccine from the United Kingdom, bringing the number of vaccine donated by the UK to 817,000 doses.
The government, through the Ministry of Health, has received an additional protected against COVID-19 disease.
In Kinshasa, the Democratic Republic of Congo, the second phase of the COVID-19 vaccine drive is underway. The vaccine is being given to those who need a second jab and workers in the health sector.
I have received vaccine to protect myself from this COVID-19 disease. The disease is killing the people we see on TV and hearing on radio every day.
Now, multiple United States agencies that operated in Afghanistan and worked with Afghan citizens have been purging their websites, removing articles and photos that could endanger civilians who interacted with them and now fear retribution from the Taliban. Here's more on the report.
The online scrubbing campaign began last week when it became clear that the Afghan security forces had completely collapsed and the Taliban would take over the country. The concern is that the Taliban or its supporters would search the websites and identify Afghans who had worked with the Americans or merely identified from their services. State Department spokesperson Ned Price said the department was advising personnel to search for and remove social media and website content featuring civilians because the safety of Afghan contacts is of utmost importance to the government.
The world has watched in horror this week as 20 years of hopes and promises for Afghanistan were snuffed out almost overnight as the Taliban retook control of the country after the hasty withdrawal of US-led forces. Western nations are being called to account for letting it happen. For more on Germany's role, we join William Glucroft, correspondent with our partner Deutsche Welle in Berlin. Now, William, what have top officials there, including Chancellor Angela Merkel, said about the situation in Afghanistan?
It's really been a week of shock here, as in many countries. Well, we've heard from the foreign minister, Heiko Maas, in advance of Angela Merkel. They're both basically sticking to the same line. They're shocked. They call the situation very bitter. Developments happening there, really terrible was Angela Merkel's word for it. And that they are basically sticking to the line that they, along with their NATO partners, seriously underestimated the situation there and the Taliban's strength and their ability to sweep through the country and take back power as they have, as we've seen this week. So there's a lot of soul searching among European and NATO countries today and this week. Angela Merkel and other European leaders are said to be extremely angry and frustrated with the Biden administration, especially as they've worked so hard these last several months, all this year, in fact, to rebuild transatlantic ties that took such a hit during the Trump administration. Joe Biden and many of his high-level staff have been in Europe and especially in Germany the last many months. They've said that they've been working closely together. They've been holding a lot of internal, behind closed doors discussions, especially about Afghanistan, so they could be in lockstep together for a plan for Afghanistan, and all of that seems for naught, and that is what German and European officials are grappling with this week.
So how is Germany responding to the crisis?
Well, basically they're responding as they should have been responding the last several months. The German government has been dragging its feet, much to the chagrin of refugee and other kinds of aid groups, to get at least Germany's many local personnel out, translators, cooks, these kinds of people who have helped the German military, helped German agencies and NGOs all of these years, whose lives are now at risk. And Germany, like many European countries and the United States, have been very slow to get these people out, and now they're scrambling to do that. There have been some German Air Force flights into Kabul to get the first few hundred people out of the country, both German diplomatic personnel, German citizens, and local Afghan personnel. But there are tens of thousands, or at least several thousand more people left to go. And Angela Merkel and others have been very honest about the prospects of really being successful in getting everyone out. There seems to be a reality here that many of those people will not be able to get out.
So what is Germany's role in Afghanistan exactly?
This was a major commitment of Germany. It was Germany's largest and longest combat role and foreign presence since the Second World War. It had one of the largest troop commitments to the NATO mission there. Several thousand troops at one point at the peak were there. Germany spent as much as 20 billion euros on its commitment there, both in combat missions and in training missions. It's lost 59 German soldiers as well as many more wounded. So this was a big commitment for Germany, and it was a major political statement given Germany's reluctance to engage militarily around the world, given its brutal Nazi past, its past of invading other countries. It's always taken a more pacifist route in its modern history. So this was a major turning event for Germany, that it wanted to show that it could be part of a productive, constructive commitment to global security. So this is really hitting hard back in German political circles back here in Berlin.
All right, thank you so much, William, for those updates. And that is the end of international news. Business news follows next after the break.
Tune in to Business Edition and meet business leaders and experts who'll keep you informed on business and economic developments taking place in the country, such as tourism, construction, energy, transport, mining, agriculture, communication, banking, real estate, and more. Business Edition on Friday at 8:15 p.m. only on Capital Television.
Welcome back, and in business news. Mbinga district in Ruvuma region is implementing a strategy that aims to improve coffee production as well as its quality. The district currently produces between 13,000 and 18,000 tons of coffee a year.
Coffee is one of the strategic products, and it provides great income to our country. We as coffee growers need strategies to develop and promote this product by setting a better environment. From 2018 to 2019, we produced 18,000 tons and the average price was 2,900. From 2019 to 2020 season, we produced 13,000 tons for average price of 3,500. For the 2020-2021 season, we produced 12,000 tons. For estimates in 2021-2022 season, we expect to produce 11,100 tons.
Tanzanians have been urged to look for investment opportunities by establishing packaging industries in order to address the problem of shortage of good quality packaging products used by small entrepreneurs.
Na tumekuwa tukiwahamasisha sana Watanzania waweze kuanzisha hivi viwanda vya vifungashio ili tuwe na vifungashio, sio vifungashio tu, tuwe na vifungashio vya aina mbalimbali. Ili mtu anavyotengeneza asali yake akifungasha kwenye kifungashio itofautiane na kifungashio cha mtu mwingine.
Onion farmers from Ilkunginya Ward, Romelu district, ARUSHA region have urged the government to intervene and address the problem of unscrupulous buyers who violate weighing and measurement regulations, causing farmers to incur losses.
If they decide to manage, then the farmers will get relief. The situation is bad and we are suffering. And even one day you will not see any farmer progressing. We ask you to deal with those who sell in excess to be arrested and sell their produce as required. Taha has connected us to various including beans and peppers. In the market area, we ask our government to increase strength. Packaging should also be provided on time to help farmers to avoid selling excess produce.
And that is the end of business news. Sports news is next.
Away first time, good start from Bolt. Bolt leading a moment of going away. Gay trying to go with him, and he's going to be dragged through to second place, but he's going to win it by 2 meters. Away first time, good start from Bolt. Bolt leading a moment of going away. Gay trying to go with him, and he's going to be dragged through to second place, but he's going to win it by 2 meters. Opposition, Joaquinho, he did lose some length.
Back and in sports news, The Special Olympics Board has postponed the national championships that were to be held from 3rd of September this year due to the coronavirus pandemic.
It is reported that the coronavirus situation in Mwanza is not very good, and we talked to them and they said it is true, the situation is not good. So we saw it fit to postpone. Also, with the nature of our participants, it's hard for them to adhere to the protocols against the virus.
More than 5,000 local and international athletes are expected to participate in the Uhuru Marathon, scheduled to take place on 9th of December, where funds raised will be used in construction of the Uhuru Sports Academy.
We urge the experienced athletes who have been in the sport for a while to train harder and early on, because as you know, this marathon is linked with London Marathon, and so it is well promoted all over the world. And due to this, we expect to get a lot of big names.
Arsenal are close to sealing a move for Martin Odegaard, a move after stepping up talks with Real Madrid. Here's more on the story.
Odegaard spent 6 months on loan at Administered Stadium in 2020-21 and endeared himself to Arsenal fans with his infectious energy in the middle of the pitch and eye for defense-splitting passes. The 22-year-old returned to Real Madrid for their latest pre-season campaign in June, but the Spanish giants are now open to his departure on a permanent basis, with the Gunners eager to bring him back to North London. Arsenal are hopeful of reaching an agreement to buy Odegaard outright after accelerating negotiations with Real, who could let him leave Santiago Bernabeu for around £30 million.
And Romelu Lukaku has confirmed that he will be Chelsea's new number 9 following Tammy Abraham's move to Roma.
Lukaku was initially given the number 18 jersey upon his return to Stamford Bridge from Inter last week, but has now inherited Abraham's number following the England striker's permanent move to Stadio Olimpico. The 28-year-old could take in his first outing in the new shirt when Chelsea take in the short trip to Emirates Stadium to face Arsenal on Sunday, having already been integrated into full training with Thomas Tuchel's squad at the start of the week. The Belgian added on the challenge of facing Arsenal in his first game back at Chelsea, saying they are rebuilding and at the end of the day, he just looks at his team and focuses on what they have.
And that is the end of national news, international news, and that is the end of our news bulletin for tonight, rather. Thank you for watching and good night.